All right, thank you for signing up for the course and welcome to Redefine Effects. My name is Jesse Patella and I'll be your instructor. There's a lot to learn in this motion design crash course. I have packed it with a lot of valuable techniques that I think will be useful to you on your career journey. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. All right, so with the Epic Games launcher loaded, you want to click on Unreal Engine and then Library. And if you're not seeing Unreal Engine 5.7, you can click on the plus sign here and then click on the arrow and select 5.7 and install. After that, you can just click on launch. When this screen shows up, you can either use your existing project to follow the course, or you can click on games and just select blank and make a new project. Just give it a name and select your project location. Make sure you have enough disk space in this location and then click create. For me, I'm just going to load up an existing project that I already have. After it loads up, you can click on Content Drawer and just say Dock in Layout over here so that it's always on the bottom of your screen. And I'll just go to the Content folder. And here you want to right click and create a new folder which will house everything that we will create in this course. So I will call it Motion Course 5.7. And then you can right click and say Set Color, New Color. And I'll give it an orange color. And then you can right click and say Add to Favorites, which will add it to this favorites window over here. And you can always easily see it because of the orange color. So let's open that folder and we will create a few folders to keep things organized. So right click, new folder, call this one Meshes, another one called Levels, another one called Materials. And that's good for now. We will add more as needed. So the next thing I want you to be aware of are the templates. So if you go under File, New Level, you now have two motion design templates. So let's open the first one. And a few things immediately changed. First up, we are inside of the motion design mode. You can tell by this symbol here. We also have a sequencer automatically created. And we are inside of the motion design viewport. You can tell by clicking on the camera button here, and here it says motion design viewport. This works more like After Effects, meaning as I scroll on the mouse, it's basically zooming out in 2D space, which makes it much easier to create titles and 2D graphics. But if you prefer the standard viewport, you can just click on the camera and say default viewport. And this will give you your standard Unreal Engine viewport back, so you can just easily move around things in 3D space, just like you might be used to. So here we have some text with an animator on it, which is making the letters simply move back and forth. And we have these symbols, which also have an animator, which is making them spin, symbol 13. And I can click on Operator Stack over here and go to Animators. Here you can see the settings for the animator. It has a noise on it. And we are actually going to use this exact technique to make the fan spin on our GPU later on. So let's open the second template by going under File, New Level, and select the 3D Motion Graphics template. And I usually like to switch to the default viewport right away. And so here we have some effectors. We also have some nice disk that we can use. And most importantly, we have this nice little studio object, which we are actually going to use throughout the project. And so the studio is called CYCO2. I will right click on it and say Browse to Asset. And I want to make a copy of this for us to reuse. So I'll just drag it into our motion course folder and say copy here. And then move it into the meshes folder, say move here. And I'll just F2, rename it as studio_BG. And now we can create our base studio level from which we will create all the individual shots. So we'll go under File, New Level, and create a new basic level, Create, and go File, Save Current Level As, navigate to your Levels folder and just call it level_01_studio. Now here you can close the operator stack, and I like to just dock the details panel next to my outliner so I can always have easy access to the settings of my objects. And now we can go into the meshes folder and just drag our studio background into the scene. And you can delete the floor And now you can go under Create, Lights, and we want a rectangular light. You can just reset the location here. So it's right in the middle of our studio. And we can just turn off the directional light. And so for the rectangular light, you want to increase the intensity and then increase the attenuation radius. Hit E to rotate and rotate it 180 degrees. And for the source width, I'll do 1000. And source height, I'll do 500. We'll change these settings later. And then you can hold Alt and drag this one to the other side, E to rotate 180. And then hold Alt one more time. And this one can be in the front, rotate 90 degrees and maybe move it back. What I also like to do is right click on the level and say Asset Actions and Capture Thumbnail so I can easily see what it is. Make sure you go to File, Save All. And in the next video, we will import the GPU model and work on the lighting and materials.